Hey everybody. So for the past 2 months, I've been updating and keeping track of Richard Newton's old sheets with new information as it comes out, and it's hitting the point where, in order to express the views that are innately disposed inside of this sheet, it I need to just record and rant and rave. And so, while I didn't intend for this to be what I'm going to be doing with my time, screw it, let's go. So, everything on the basic FAQ page should be about the same, except for I wanted to express the theory that the swapinator is functional in a methodology, and I would love the capability to recreate it inside of Sheets just for the possibility of making this all in one and all inclusive. So far, absolutely nothing come out of that. Let's go back to the data page. Let's go back to the FAQ page. Nothing is different on the basic FAQ. And honestly, all the way to the end, where the intention is to get to a position where I don't need this sheet, still heavily in effect for myself. I'm personally committed to doing this for around a year, to updating and keeping this sheet up to date. But even then, I feel it's in benefit to show people what this is, what to do, and how to keep track of it. And so, let's look into the model. The model, as it stands, has a few differences here, okay? The first one is that there was a theory from RN shortly before he left that the red swap had closed. And so, if we take the red swap value and we put yeses right back to it, this is about the chart you would have seen if you kept up to date and updating the sheet as it stands. Personally, Ben, believe that the red swap is closed. I did not see the altimeter light up, and frankly, to me that's evidence enough. And so I have a personal disposition or opinion that the red swap is closed, and we're going to continue to rally for a little bit here, okay? The other thing that I believe is warranted pointing out is that there is what I believe a swap occurring halfway through the cycle in the previous upcycle right here, dictated in purple. And 174 days out is right here on October 10th or so. My personal opinion is that if on the 3rd warrants are issued, then hedge funds, hedge being in their name, receiving a hyper long position for free, are going to respond to that by hedging. That's their job. And so I expect a lot of shorting to be picked up in response to these warrants being issued in order to balance out their books. And I also expect that to line up with the 174 offset of this small peak in the swapinator. The fact that this and this line up, and also the fact that there was no red swap, the yellow dotted line downwards pointing to what I expected to witness if a red swap had occurred, points me to identifying in the model a purple colored swap date for these days, give or take, which is the same duration as these. You'll also notice how when I purple these days and I zoom in on that area, here we go. It becomes very accurate to the trading pattern that was otherwise, let's say, witnessed. Moving on, right? So I do place a purple swap right here on 10.8 to 10.15, and that is me. If you want to see what the stock moves like without it, we can just scroll down, say no's down here, and we see something along the lines of this. We see the model predicting all the way up to 33.7, but fact of the matter is the model tends to lag behind the capability of the stock itself's movement upwards. So you'll see the stock is capable of moving up only so far, and we may or may not have enough momentum for this. Now let's take a look at the ETF model, because the interesting thing about the ETF model is let's Control Z this so I don't have it perfect. So when a swap is occurring, then you will commonly see the ETF model and the model at large directly disagree with each other. So the final model, which is in red here, predicts these downwards momentums, 1, 2, 3. And then the ETF model has, if we zoom in on him, because I've been keeping the ETF model up to date here, I believe in you, you can work. 1, 2, and then nothing. Okay? And then we are up. And you'll notice how for the past 3 days we've been 6 standard deviations above the normal creation and redemption, and 7 standard deviations above, and 7 standard deviations above the normal level of creation and redemption for these ETFs. That tells me something might be happening here, and it's causing my model to blow up in the ETF world. I'm not sure this is going to result in any actual movement on the stock underlying, because if this is a swap, then it is very, very common for the ETFs to blow up and for the stock itself to have a very soft downward movement. The thing that I'm looking for more than anything else is after the warrants are issued, I'm looking for a heavy amount of short volume. I'm looking for the swapinator to go up but not peak, because standard, if a hedge fund is being attracted to buy up a ton of shorts into a swap date, they may try to close out the swap date. And that would be capable of being noted by, over here, the expectations that I've written out is that the red swap is closed. There may be a purple swap on the 10th. The warrants are issued on the 3rd. Hedge funds build up a short position to offset, and then the swap position may close out on 8/10 or October 10th, which would cause over 100 million short volume, high utilization, high cost to borrow, high off-exchange volume, and a high hedge loan balance, along with the altimeter 5 signal not appearing. Okay. If I see all of these things, or maybe the majority of them, I'm calling the purple swap done. Okay. I also want to point out how Richard Newton himself did not dictate a purple swap existing in his zone. And it's just modeling, you know? This could happen, this could not happen. We go either way on this. Personally, if I see the swapinator moving up, I'll pick up my own position against the stock, and I full well intend to eat whatever gain or loss that creates. And then if I see a swap date occurring and I see the swap closing out even, then I full well intend to pick up a heavily leveraged pro position towards the stock, because if a short squeeze is being created, it would be created by a large amount of short pressure being pushed on by hedge funds, and a large amount of short pressure being pushed on by a swap at the same time, and the swap not being closed in it, or a failed attempt to close. First person exiting is typically the one who causes a short squeeze. That's the idea. All right. Let's look at, because earnings came out recently, let's look at the fundamental valuation sheet that he had. Okay? So, RN's prediction, sad face, he will not be giving another, was 0.2. RF's prediction was 0.17 or 0.2. I'm going to skip my own input into this for a bit, and we'll come back to that. The actual EPS diluted was 0.25. We actually hard beat even the majority of the community's predictions of earnings per share here. Okay? You'll see we had a positive operating income, which is not the standard on a non-Q4 for this stock. And so there's a few theories I have for what could be causing this, which I will walk through when I do my own fundamental analysis on here, okay? And the idea that I have, and that I believe personally, is that closing stores in Q1 of 24 resulted in surprise profitability popping up only in Q2 of 2025. I expect that there will not be another surprise profitability event in next Q2. I expect that it will happen next year's Q2 because running a retail company, you do the majority of your business in Q4, and then if you're closing stores, you do it in Q1. And so, while my personal fundamental analysis, which is here, and anybody can look at it because I'll be posting this sheet in the description. While my fundamental analysis is I'm just projecting a 20% closure and 30% international, I do expect that the majority of this is happening in Q1. And so with that, we only get the information on store closures in Q4. And so I place in Q1, one second. What am I doing wrong here? I'm going to need to look into my script here. I'm going to need to look into fixing my script here. Well, that's A-okay. I'll figure that out. Nothing I do is perfect. So, still, the end result of this script is taking the general gains, applying it to Q2 instead of Q1. I still expect a 0.26 EPS and 0.31 diluted. For the following quarter for Q4, all it is scaling up the revenue for what a Q4 revenue would look like for us, and that would be 32-cent EPS and 39 undiluted. And then for the following Q1, 24-cent and 29-cent undiluted. Okay? And so with that, we can expect a reasonable valuation halfway through next year. A reasonable valuation would be 33 a share. This would be due to taking a general PE ratio of 15, assuming that it's a 15 because the company's growing. A share price of 16 per share being earned through earnings alone, and then just taking base level how much cash on hand they have right now, and digital assets, which includes Bitcoin, and just adding that on to the end, and that's how you get a 32.89 per share. Okay, if these three create a full year earnings, this is what I tend to expect for the stock. Okay, there is one thing to be pointed out with this little thing. I have overwritten the collectibles growth from the standard year-over-year copy to hard set 60% because GameStop Power Packs will be coming out, and I full well expect opening up what I'm going to refer to as a legal casino is going to be very profitable. Casinos themselves have been massively profitable lately, and turning trading card trading into a casino is great business, to be honest. Now, the assumption of no acquisitions and no dilutions for this sheet, how can I put it? I full well expect every time GameStop becomes overvalued, on the exact intervals GameStop becomes overvalued, we're going to be issuing shares. We're going to be diluting because, in the words of another YouTuber, the value and the advantage of the board members for GameStop are in their capability to manage assets. Having more cash to acquire more assets, to manage more assets, is in the benefit of this company. Okay? And so, whatever edge we have right now, pushing it forward and keeping it going is probably heavily in our advantage. Okay. Move on from here. Fundamental valuation has been shared. Let's go into what this sheet is and what the process is for updating it, okay? Because all I'm doing is every day we go into the ETF page and we open up FNDA, IWB, IWM, all of these, and then XRT and GMEU, and I've added GMEY, but it's not included in anything yet. And I have been using Market Chameleon and manually updating them because let's go FNDA. You can see there is a shares outstanding posted every day, 295350, 295350. And fact of the matter is, I could script it out, but the NASDAQ KPI is $100 a month. And honestly, while I have money, I'm cheap. It doesn't take much, you know? It doesn't take much. And so, I think that's it for now, right? Now, I have been tracking my trades, but I'm not going to share that this week. Yeah. I'm going to post this model, all of this, in the description, and anyone can take a look at it. Thanks.